Stop for a second and feel this moment carefully, because something shifted today that was never supposed to happen this fast. Somewhere in silence, a decision was made about you. Not casually, not impulsively, a deep decision. A hidden one. And the strange part is even your soulmate did not fully expect themselves to make it. There was a moment today when your name crossed their mind differently. Not like before, not like a passing thought. It stayed. And once it stayed, everything around them began to feel unfamiliar. Have you noticed how energy changes before life changes? The room feels quieter. Your intuition becomes louder. Certain songs suddenly feel personal. Certain memories return without warning. That is not coincidence. That is alignment beginning to move beneath the surface where nobody else can see it yet. Type 444 in the comments right now if something in you already knew this message was for you before you could explain why. 444 means you are protected. It means what is moving toward you is already being guided. It means you did not find this by accident. Type it now and let us go deeper. Your soulmate felt it too. They tried distracting themselves. They tried focusing on ordinary things. But something kept pulling their attention back toward you. Your energy, your presence, your absence. And then came the realization they could no longer escape. You are no longer just an option in their future. You became part of the future they secretly started imagining. Pause here for a moment and really hear that, because this was not a small emotional reaction. This was a turning point hidden inside an ordinary day. Earlier today, while nobody was watching, they sat alone thinking about conversations that have not even happened yet. Imagining places they want to go with you. Wondering how your voice would sound during difficult moments. Wondering how peaceful life might feel if you were beside them consistently, instead of occasionally appearing in their thoughts like a beautiful interruption. And what startled them most was how natural it felt. Almost frighteningly natural. As if some invisible part of them already recognized you long before logic caught up. That is why their energy changed today. Something inside them stopped running. If something just landed in your body as you heard those words, not your mind, your body press like on this video right now. Not as a reaction to content, as your quiet agreement with what is already moving. One press, and we continue. But listen carefully now, because this next part matters more than you realize. The secret decision was not dramatic on the outside. No giant announcement. No sudden message. No scene anyone else would notice. The deepest choices rarely arrive with noise. They arrive quietly, then slowly reshape everything afterward. Your soulmate made a private promise to themselves today. A promise involving you. Maybe they decided to stop pretending they feel nothing. Maybe they decided they cannot keep comparing everyone else to you. Or maybe, and this is the part that feels almost unreal, they finally accepted that what they feel for you keeps growing, no matter how much time passes. That realization changed something in them. You can almost feel it now, cannot you? Like the atmosphere around your life is preparing for movement. Stay with this story a little longer, because the next truth explains why this connection suddenly feels stronger than before. Your soulmate has been observing you more closely than you know, not in an obsessive way, in a meaningful way. They notice how you continue moving forward, even after disappointment. They notice the strength you carry quietly. They notice the way your energy affects people without you trying. And recently, they began asking themselves a question they were afraid to answer. Honestly, what if this person is meant to stay in my life? That question followed them all day. At first they resisted it. Then they replayed certain memories involving you. Tiny moments, expressions, small details. Most people forget. But emotions reveal themselves through details. And suddenly they realize something impossible to ignore. Nobody else leaves this kind of impact on them. Nobody else creates this strange combination of peace, curiosity, comfort, and intensity all at once. And once they admitted that truth internally, the secret decision happened naturally. They chose to stop fighting the connection, not publicly, not loudly, but internally, completely. You may not see immediate evidence yet. That is because certain emotional decisions begin spiritually before they appear physically. First, the energy changes, then the communication changes, then the timing changes, then the world rearranges itself slowly enough that only attentive hearts notice what is happening. And something is happening. Do not ignore this feeling. Tonight, while you are listening to these words, your soulmate is carrying thoughts about you they can no longer push away. And somewhere else tonight, someone else is listening to these words, still wondering if anyone is carrying thoughts like that about them at all. Still wondering if the kind of connection you just heard described is something that actually happens for people like them. Still holding their hands closed around a hope they stopped saying out loud because it started to feel like too much to believe in. If this message is giving you language for something you have been carrying without words, please plant a seed so it can reach them. Through the link in the description and the pinned comment, release whatever feels right in your spirit. No amount is too small. But as you release it, bring something specific with it, not a general wish. The specific version, the one you mean when nobody is watching and you let yourself be completely honest for a moment. The love that feels like finally arriving somewhere after a very long journey. Plant that alongside your seed, because what you release with that kind of specific honesty, the universe begins to move toward you. Even they are surprised by how serious those thoughts became today. What began as curiosity slowly transformed into certainty. A quiet certainty, the kind that changes choices. The kind that changes priorities, the kind that makes someone realize they do not want to lose a connection they once underestimated. But wait before you leave, because the strangest part has not even unfolded yet. There is one reason this decision happened today, instead of months later. One invisible trigger, one emotional moment that suddenly opened their eyes in a way they never expected. And when you hear what caused it, everything will start making sense. Something unusual happened after sunset, and your soulmate could not explain it logically, no matter how hard they tried. The world around them looked normal. People were talking. Notifications appeared. Life kept moving the way it always does. But internally it felt as if time slowed down for a moment, just to force them into honesty. And honesty was exactly what they had been avoiding, because the secret decision they made earlier today was only the beginning. The real shift came later, when they suddenly realized how empty certain things feel without you connected to them. Listen carefully now. This was not about loneliness. It was deeper than that. It was the realization that your energy has quietly become part of their emotional world, a hidden presence, something they started depending on without even noticing when it began. That realization shook them. Imagine someone walking through life, believing they are fully in control of their emotions, only to discover one person has the power to completely change the atmosphere of their thoughts. That is what happened to them tonight. And the strange part, you probably felt a small shift too. Maybe you became emotional without understanding why. Maybe your intuition felt louder today. Maybe you suddenly thought about them while doing something ordinary. These invisible connections do not always announce themselves clearly. Sometimes they whisper before they arrive loudly. Your soulmate kept replaying a specific moment involving you, not necessarily a dramatic memory. In fact, what affected them most was something simple. The way you listened, the way you responded calmly during a difficult moment, the way your energy made them feel understood without needing to explain everything perfectly. That memory kept returning again and again. And eventually, they asked themselves a dangerous question. What if I lose this person because I stayed silent too long? That question changed the entire direction of their thinking, because for the first time, they stopped assuming you would always be there waiting emotionally. They suddenly realized you are valuable, deeply valuable, and life does not pause forever while people hesitate. That truth hit them harder than expected. Stay here with this for a moment, because most people never witness the exact instant someone begins taking their connection seriously. But tonight, you are hearing the emotional turning point happening in real time. Type 222 in the comments right now. 222 is the number of trust. Trust the process. Trust the connection. Trust what is building even before it is fully visible. If you feel that this connection is real, even without being able to fully explain why, type 222. Let it be the thing you are declaring over your own situation right now. Your soulmate started imagining what life would look like if another person stepped closer to you emotionally before they did. And instead of feeling calm about it, something inside them reacted immediately. Not anger, not control, fear of regret. That is important, because regret reveals hidden feelings faster than comfort ever can. And suddenly all the emotional walls they spent months building started cracking quietly from the inside. They began realizing how often they search for your energy in conversations with other people, how nothing feels quite the same afterward, how your presence lingers in their mind longer than anyone else's, how even silence with you feels meaningful instead of awkward. Those realizations are difficult to ignore once they arrive, and tonight they arrived all at once. Before you continue listening, take a breath and notice how this story keeps unfolding layer by layer, because this is bigger than attraction, bigger than temporary emotion. This is about recognition. Two energies slowly understanding they were never meant to remain strangers forever. Your soulmate sees that now. Not perfectly yet, but enough to change their choices moving forward. And there is another detail they have not admitted openly to anyone. They admire your resilience more than your appearance. Yes, they notice your beauty, of course they do, but what truly stays in their heart is the way you continue standing after disappointment tried to break your spirit. The way you still carry warmth despite everything you have experienced. That affects them deeply, more deeply than they expected. Because in a world where so many connections feel temporary, your energy feels rare to them, real, grounding, safe. And tonight, for the first time, they stopped treating that feeling casually. This is why the secret decision matters so much. It was not only emotional, it was intentional. A silent choice to stop distancing themselves from what they genuinely feel. No one around them knows this yet. On the outside, they may still appear calm, but internally, entire conversations are happening inside their mind about you. Future possibilities, timing, risks, what they should say, whether they waited too long already, and somewhere between all those thoughts, one truth became impossible for them to deny. They do not want this connection to fade. That realization alone changed their energy completely tonight. And this next part may surprise you even more, because someone close to them recently noticed the difference too. A friend, a family member, someone observant. They noticed your soulmate becoming quieter whenever your name appeared, more thoughtful, more emotionally present, almost as if they were protecting feelings they were not ready to reveal publicly yet. If you want to be here when the next part of this story unfolds, subscribe to this channel right now and turn on notifications. These messages arrive at specific moments for specific people. If this one found you tonight, the next one already has your name on it. Subscribe, turn on the bell, stay inside this current. When people outside the connection start sensing the shift, it means the emotional energy is becoming too strong to hide completely. So do not underestimate what is unfolding here. Something real is moving beneath the surface. And the next phase of this story, it begins the moment your soulmate decides whether to finally reveal what has been growing secretly inside their heart all this time. But before that moment arrives, there is one final realization they still have to face. The realization that you may have changed their life far more than they ever changed yours. And when that truth fully reaches them, nothing between you will stay the same again. Right now, while you are hearing these words, your soulmate is standing at the edge of a decision they cannot postpone much longer. Not because someone pressured them, not because the world forced them, but because their heart has become too loud to ignore. There comes a moment in certain connections when pretending stops working, when distractions stop helping, when even silence begins revealing the truth instead of hiding it. And tonight, your soulmate reached that moment. They finally understood something that changed everything internally. You were never just a passing phase in their life. You became the person their soul kept returning to, even when their mind tried to move elsewhere. That realization created a strange emotional storm inside them, calm on the outside, intense on the inside. Stay here a little longer, because what happened next explains why this secret decision became so powerful. Earlier tonight, they experienced a quiet moment that nobody else around them even noticed. A simple pause in the middle of their routine. But during that pause, your energy crossed their mind unexpectedly. And instead of pushing the thought away like before, they allowed themselves to feel it completely. That changed everything, because the truth they had been avoiding finally surfaced clearly. They miss you differently than they miss other people. Not temporarily, not casually, deeply. And once they admitted that truth internally, memories began flooding back faster than they could control. Conversations, laughter, eye contact, certain emotional moments they pretended were small at the time, but now realize meant much more. Funny how clarity works, is not it? Sometimes people only understand the value of a connection once their feelings become impossible to silence. Your soulmate is entering that stage now, and there is something else you need to know. The secret decision was not only about accepting their feelings. It was also about changing their future behavior toward you quietly, intentionally, step by step. They are tired of acting emotionally distant when their heart keeps moving closer, tired of overthinking every feeling, tired of wondering what could happen while doing nothing about it. Tonight, for the first time, they imagined what it would feel like to stop resisting completely. And strangely, instead of fear, they felt relief. Relief. That is the word that surprised them most, because real connections do not only create excitement, they create peace beneath the intensity. A sense that maybe after all the confusion life brings, there is still someone whose energy feels like home. There is still something that deserves the word finally, not as a wish, as an arrival. Someone else is going to hear the word relief tonight and exhale for the first time in longer than they can remember. Someone who has been holding their hands closed so tightly around the hope of this kind of connection, protecting it, saving it, afraid to let it become real in case it disappears, that they forgot what it feels like to simply open them. If this space gave you that exhale tonight, I want to invite you to plant a seed into it through the link in the description and the pinned comment. Release whatever feels right in your spirit. And as you release it, bring something specific with it. Not a vague prayer for love, the one you mean when you are fully honest in the quiet. The version where you stop editing yourself. The emotional safety you have been waiting to feel. The specific way you want to be known by someone. The kind of love that finally stops feeling like effort. Plant that alongside your seed. Because the moment you stop holding your hands closed, waiting, protecting, saving, is the moment what has been moving toward you finally has somewhere to land. That is how your soulmate has started viewing you. Not perfectly yet, but enough that the emotional walls around their heart no longer feel sustainable. And listen carefully to this next part, because it may explain something you have been sensing recently. Your soulmate has been watching signs connected to you more than usual. Small reminders, coincidences, unexpected mentions of your name, random moments that somehow lead their thoughts back toward you again and again. At first they dismissed it. Then they became curious. Now they are beginning to wonder whether life itself keeps pulling their attention toward this connection for a reason. What if certain people are meant to arrive at exactly the right emotional season? What if the delays were never rejection, only preparation? Those questions have been following them tonight like shadows, and the deeper they think about you, the clearer one truth becomes. They do not want another almost story. They do not want another connection they look back on years later, wondering what could have happened if they had been brave enough to act honestly. That fear of losing the possibility of you has become stronger than their fear of vulnerability. And that changes everything, because once a person reaches that emotional point, their actions begin shifting naturally afterward. Slowly at first, then all at once. Type 555 in the comments if you feel it, that sense that things are shifting around you, that something is about to change, that the next chapter is closer than the waiting has made it feel. 555 is the number of transformation, of change arriving. If that is the energy you are in right now, claim it. Type 555. You may notice it unexpectedly, a message with different energy, a deeper conversation, more consistency, more emotional openness. Little things that quietly reveal a heart becoming more certain, nothing forced, nothing rushed, just truth gradually rising to the surface. And honestly, even they are surprised by how much this connection has transformed them internally. You helped awaken parts of them they thought had disappeared: hope, softness, emotional courage, the desire to build something meaningful instead of temporary. That is rare, very rare. Do not leave yet, because there is one final truth hidden underneath everything you heard tonight. But before we get there, if this story is describing something you have been carrying in silence, someone in your life needs to hear it too. Someone who is holding a connection they are afraid to believe in. Someone whose intuition keeps speaking and whose mind keeps arguing back. Share this with them right now, not as content, as a quiet act of care. You already know who they are. It was about choosing growth, choosing honesty, choosing the possibility of a future that once felt too intense to imagine seriously. And while they still have fears, while they still overthink sometimes, their heart has already crossed a line their mind cannot uncross anymore. You are no longer just someone they think about occasionally. You became someone they are afraid to lose before the story truly begins. That is why tonight feels different. That is why the energy around this connection has shifted. And somewhere quietly, your soulmate is preparing for the moment when silence is no longer enough. When feelings hidden in the shadows finally step into the light, because deep down they already know something important. Some connections are too powerful to remain unspoken forever. There is something your soulmate has not admitted to anyone yet, not to friends, not to family, not even fully to themselves until now. They have started imagining a real future with you. Not fantasy, not temporary excitement, a real future. And the moment that realization entered their heart, everything around them began feeling different. Listen closely, because this part changes the entire story. Tonight, while the world around them kept moving normally, your soulmate caught themselves doing something unexpected. They were thinking beyond the present moment, beyond casual emotions, beyond uncertainty. They started asking questions they never asked before. What would life feel like waking up beside this person every day? What if this connection is the one I was supposed to protect instead of question? What if the peace I keep searching for already entered my life, and I almost ignored it? Those thoughts did not leave quickly, they stayed. And the longer they stayed, the more emotional clarity began replacing confusion. That is why your soulmate feels quieter lately, not distant, focused. People become quiet when their heart is processing something life-changing internally. And what they are processing right now is you. You may not fully realize how much your presence has affected them. Sometimes the strongest impact happens invisibly. A person changes slowly because of someone's energy long before they say anything aloud. That is exactly what happened here. Your patience changed them, your resilience changed them. Even the way you continue moving through life with silent strength changed them. They notice all of it, more than you know. And suddenly, the idea of losing access to your energy forever feels unbearable to them. That realization created urgency inside their spirit, not panic, urgency, the kind that whispers, "Do not let this connection disappear," because of fear. Stay here a little longer, because the next truth explains why your soulmate can no longer return to the version of themselves that existed before this decision. Earlier tonight, they looked at old memories differently, not with nostalgia, with understanding. They realized the moments they once considered small were actually the moments their feelings began growing strongest. The random conversations, the emotional comfort, the feeling of being seen without pretending. That feeling is rare in this world, and your soulmate knows it now. They also know something else. No matter how many distractions entered their life, their heart kept circling back toward you again and again and again. At some point, repetition becomes revelation. At some point, the universe keeps placing one person in your heart until you finally stop asking why and start accepting what it means. Your soulmate is reaching that point now, and here is where the story becomes even deeper. The secret decision they made is already beginning to affect the way they move through daily life. They are becoming more emotionally aware, more reflective, more honest with themselves about what truly matters. Because your connection forced them to confront a truth they spent a long time avoiding. Surface-level connections no longer satisfy them. Once someone experiences emotional depth with the right person, ordinary attention starts feeling empty. Your soulmate feels that emptiness. Now, whenever they try pretending their feelings are insignificant, they cannot fake indifference anymore. Their soul is too awake for that now, and somewhere deep inside, they are beginning to understand that this connection may have entered their life during a very specific season for a reason, not to confuse them, to transform them. What if both of you were changing each other quietly this entire time? What if every delay, every silence, every emotional lesson was preparing this exact turning point? That possibility keeps echoing inside them tonight, and honestly, it scares them a little. Not because they doubt you, because they finally understand how real this became. Real feelings create vulnerability. Vulnerability creates risk, but your soulmate is beginning to realize something powerful. The risk of never expressing their truth feels heavier now than the risk of opening their heart. That is why the energy around this connection feels different suddenly. The emotional balance shifted. For so long they tried controlling their feelings carefully. But tonight, their heart moved ahead of their fear. And once that happens, life starts changing quietly behind the scenes. You may notice signs soon: unexpected communication, more intentional energy, a stronger emotional presence, moments that feel strangely aligned, almost as if invisible timing is guiding both of you closer step by step. Do not dismiss those moments when they arrive. They are part of the unfolding. And before this message ends, hear this carefully. Your soulmate's secret decision was never only about romance. It was about choosing authenticity over emotional hiding, choosing connection over avoidance, choosing the person who feels like peace in a chaotic world. That person became you. Type 1111 in the comments right now. 1111 is the manifestation portal. It is the number that says what you are holding in your heart is already being heard. If you are ready, not when everything is perfect, not when you have all the answers, but right now, exactly as you are, type 1111. Let the universe register your readiness. Something is building now, quietly, steadily, almost invisibly. Your soulmate can feel it. And if you have been paying attention to your own intuition lately, then deep down you can feel it too. Because after tonight, This connection is no longer sitting in the background of their life. It has moved to the center of their thoughts in a way they never expected. What once felt uncertain now feels emotionally undeniable. And that realization is beginning to change their behavior from the inside out, not dramatically, not all at once, but enough that the next phase between you cannot stay hidden forever. Listen carefully, because this may be the most important part of the entire story. Earlier, your soulmate tried convincing themselves they still had plenty of time to delay their feelings, plenty of time to stay emotionally guarded, plenty of time to wait for the perfect moment. But something inside them interrupted that pattern tonight, a sudden awareness, a deep emotional truth. They realized life changes quickly. People change, timing changes, and meaningful connections are too rare to gamble away through silence. That thought stayed with them longer than anything else. For the first time, they imagined what it would feel like if you slowly moved on emotionally while they stayed frozen in hesitation. They imagined seeing your energy belong somewhere else, your laughter, your attention, your warmth becoming part of another future. And the feeling that created inside them was impossible to ignore. Not jealousy, not possession, loss. The possibility of losing you emotionally before they fully express what you mean to them suddenly became real in their heart. And that fear awakened courage. Is not that strange? Sometimes people only discover the depth of their feelings when they imagine life without the person connected to them. That is exactly what happened tonight. Stay with this moment a little longer, because your soulmate is standing emotionally between two versions of themselves now. The old version, the one that hides, delays, overthinks, and waits. And the new version, the one slowly becoming brave enough to choose honesty. You triggered that transformation without forcing anything, without chasing, without pretending to be someone else, just by being authentically yourself. That authenticity affected them more than they can explain. Because your soulmate has encountered many people before, conversations, attractions, temporary emotions. But this connection feels different to them for one reason they cannot escape. You make them feel emotionally understood. And people spend entire lifetimes searching for that feeling tonight. They realized something powerful. You are not simply someone they desire. You are someone they trust emotionally. Someone whose energy calms the noise inside their mind. Someone whose presence feels grounding instead of exhausting. That kind of connection changes people deeply. It changes priorities. It changes emotional habits. It changes future decisions. And whether they admit it publicly yet or not, your soulmate has already started rearranging parts of their future internally with you included in it. That is the secret nobody else fully knows yet. The decision they made was not temporary emotion. It was emotional alignment finally becoming impossible to deny. And there is another detail hidden beneath all this. Your soulmate has started noticing signs of your absence more intensely than your presence. Read that again carefully. When you are quiet, they feel it. When your energy pulls back, they notice immediately. When you focus on yourself instead of them, something inside their heart reacts. Why? Because your energy became emotionally important to them long before they consciously admitted it. And now they are beginning to understand the weight of that truth. This is why the next chapter between you feels closer than ever before. Not because fate magically fixes everything overnight, but because emotional honesty creates movement, and movement has already started. You may soon witness moments that feel almost surreal in timing. A sudden message after long silence, an unexpected emotional conversation, a confession hidden inside ordinary words, small shifts that reveal a much larger emotional awakening happening beneath the surface. Do not rush those moments. Let them unfold naturally. Real connections deepen slowly enough to become lasting. And your soulmate is finally understanding that depth matters more than speed. Before this message ends, there is one final truth you deserve to hear tonight. Your soulmate's secret decision was ultimately this. They no longer want to experience life wondering what could have happened between you. That thought alone changed everything, because once a heart reaches that level of certainty, the universe begins opening emotional doors that fear kept closed for too long. So if things suddenly begin shifting after this, if communication changes, if energy becomes stronger, if synchronicities appear more often, remember this moment. Remember that somewhere quietly, your soulmate finally stopped fighting what their heart has been trying to tell them all along, and what their heart keeps saying again and again is your name. Finally, that word has been living inside this entire story without being named, the peace beneath the intensity, the relief instead of fear, the clarity replacing confusion, the moment their heart moved ahead of their fear. Every layer of this message has been building toward one word. And that word is finally. Finally, a connection that does not feel like effort. Finally, someone whose presence feels like arriving somewhere instead of performing for someone. Finally, the version of love that feels like home instead of uncertainty. Your soulmate is moving toward their finally, and you are moving toward yours. But there are people still in the middle of the waiting who do not yet know their finally is real, who have almost stopped holding space for it, who found this message on a night when the distance between where they are and where they want to be felt too large to cross. They need to hear what you just heard, that the heart moving ahead of the fear is not weakness, that the moment of relief is not naive, that finally is not a fantasy. It is a direction. This message exists to reach them, and finally does not begin with arrival. It begins with release. The moment you open your hands, stop holding them closed around what you have been waiting for. Protecting, saving, quietly carrying alone is the moment finally has room to land. Through the link in the description and the pinned comment, plant a seed into this space. A coffee, a donation, whatever your spirit says is right. And as you release it, bring your specific prayer with it. Not a general one. The version you mean when you are completely honest with yourself in the quiet. The emotional safety you have been waiting to feel. The specific way you want to be known. The love that stops feeling like something you have to earn. The finally you stopped saying out loud because it started to feel like too much to hope for. Plant that alongside your seed, because what you release with that kind of specific faith, the universe begins to move toward you with that kind of specific answer. Your finally is not as far away as the waiting has made it feel. Type finally in the comments. Not as a wish. As the word your heart has been holding quietly for longer than anyone knows. As the thing you are now declaring out loud for the first time. Type it and let it land in the world. And if this journey continues resonating with your spirit, stay connected to this space, because the next chapter reveals the moment your soulmate finally stops hiding what their heart has already decided. Share this with the one person who came to your mind while you listened tonight, because sometimes the message arrives through you before it arrives for them. What found you today may be exactly what they have been waiting to hear. Send it forward.